And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the African American Athlete live stream. I'm Rick Hampton with my friend and frat brother, Michael Roberson, coming to you on a Wednesday evening. We got a very special guest that's going to join us in a couple of minutes. Mike, I love this brother to death, man, but I really didn't want him on the show, man, because we normally don't allow Omegas on our show, man.
Exactly.
We're gonna break the rule tonight and bring this brother in.
Yeah, we make a
We
couple
break the
sections.
rule only for you, Robert.
Well, let's not forget Clarence. Let's not forget Clarence Hill and Letbetter. So those three are the only ones.
We
Wow.
let Q's on here every now and then. Coach Reed, man, what an honor and pleasure to have you on. I'm glad you got time to spend a couple of minutes with us tonight, man, because not only do we want to talk about your son bursting on the scene at Texas A&M, we want to pick your brains a little bit about the status of college football today with the NIL and the transfer portal. And I think a lot of good coaches might, like Coach Reed, have left the business because of it's so much of a business now. We'll get Coach Reed's thoughts on that in a second. But Mike, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. I mean, definitely glad to have my fellow alum on. Always had a good time on campus with him, and legendary. I used to go down to Fisk and I hear his name, like, oh, okay, what's going on, Rod? So, but I don't want to get you in trouble. And
I had a sister at Fisk.
Okay. All right. So then, but yeah, it's a great time, and I'm absolutely proud to see Marcel looking that good at Texas A&M. I mean, the pictures that I saw, and then the highlights, and it's awesome. So I'm sure. Well, another one of our frat brothers, Brother Simmons, is with Berkeley and also the Western Province. He's a Texas A&M alum, and I told him, I said, hey man, I got my guy's son is coming there. You watch out for him. And I'm sure, I don't know, I haven't talked to Roland Martin, but I'm sure he's proud too. So. And then you also had a chance to interact with Emmitt Smith. So what was that like?
Oh, it was cool, man. That was actually the first time we had the chance to kind of chop it up a little bit after this past game. I don't know if we were sitting in the same. We just happened to be in the facility after the game, after the kids, talked. The coaches did a speech, and they all come out and meet the parents out in the indoor. And so we were just sitting over there talking, and he kind of, we were talking, and I just said, hey, let's get a pic, man. And he said, all right. So we got a picture. Then he called Marcel. He said, hey, let me talk to you. And I was like, okay. What's this all about? So he pulled him over to the side, and I saw him, and he was just explaining stuff, and he was kind of putting his hand in his chest, and, so he was kind of laying the law down. Hey, this is what you need to do in order to be successful at this position if you want to take it further than where you are right now. And he was telling them as an African-American quarterback, these are some of the things that they're going to mandate that you do in order to be successful. And I don't know the total gist of the conversation, because shortly after that, it's kind of funny when you go to the college game, you see a kid at the hotel on Friday night, and then Saturday after the game, you see him for about 20 minutes. And that's it. They don't want to hear Sunday morning, let's have breakfast or anything like that. They don't want to do all that. So we learned that the first year. So now, we go in on Friday. We spend a little time with him after the meetings at the hotel. And then we'll see him right after the game. And then it's, hey, adios. We'll see you next week, But it was good that Emmitt, took some time, to hear that from a Hall of Famer. I'm sure it resonated with him a whole lot.
Hey, Rod, this has to be so crazy for you, because you were on the opposite end of this for so long, preparing the team to play, making sure everything is in order, everything is in place. And now you get to be a fan and take in some of the pageantry of the game. More important, you get to be a husband and father, watching your kid play and having your family there. What is What is that like?
You know what, man? It's been awesome. There are a lot of times, a whole lot of times when I miss it, and think about, do you really want to get back in it or whatnot? And there's been some opportunities for some things at the Power 5 level, but I didn't really give him too much thought, man. Especially where he was last year in coming out and being a freshman. I was trying to be very supportive of him and what he was doing, because he redshirted last year, and I thought he really probably had the ability to help him out last year a little bit. But I think the best thing, when he was probably getting limited reps at the beginning of the season, I just told him, I said, son, you need to go to scout team. And, I said, you're going to get to against your defense every day. And, you go down there, and that's your game day. Tuesday and Wednesday is your game day. So I said, you'll learn how to maneuver the pocket. You'll learn how to escape. You'll be throwing in the good coverage. It'll help you read defenses. So it's been fun watching him mature, man, and being able to go on the trips and see him play more this year than, he kind of got thrust into the scene last year. He played in a couple of games before the bowl game, but it was like the last 3 minutes of a game or something like that.
All right. Well, of course, happy belated birthday. You share the same.
Did I do that? My bad. I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah. So happy belated birthday. You share the same birthday with my late mother. So happy birthday. And I got a few more months before mine comes up. But what about, let's go back to 84, 85. You came to TSU in 84, right?
Right.
Or 85.
Right.
Okay.
84.
So let's go back to 84, 85, because I met you in 85. What was that like for you, being the son of a legendary player and then you being a legacy? What was that like for you? And then how do you feel now this is down another generation for you and your son?
Coach?
Man, it's so much different because, when I graduated, and this was pretty much the same thing. Where I graduated high school May the 28th or whatever. On June the 1st, I was at TSU, and my dad kind of just, dropped me off and threw me to the wolves. You know what I mean? And it was, man, I had no out. If I could have left Tennessee State after the first week, I probably would have been in a car, but on the track, making times and stuff like that. That track probably ran a lot of people away from there at Tennessee State, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. It was some interesting times with, my dad, and he knew how tough it was going to be. He knew, the kind of situation I was getting myself into. But, I was raised the right way, the same way that I tried to instill values in my son, he instilled into me. So I was able to tough it out and was able to have a very successful career here. And hopefully, I was dropped off to Boyd Hall. Marcel got dropped off to a 3-bedroom apartment. And, with the rooftop pool, I mean, just.
I know Boyd Hall. I remember Boyd Hall. Yeah.
And you had to walk a half a mile to get to the cafeteria, and they got, it's right there in the facility for them, man. It's just unbelievable the difference, but needless to say, we dropped him off with some of the same values, man, and just kind of instilled in him, be your own man, be a leader, connect yourself with the right people. And because, my dad always told me bad association breed bad habits, and that's so true. So, I told him to surround himself with good people. I said, you're a quarterback. You are under the microscope 24/7, just as a college football player, but as a quarterback, you're the face of the program. I said, and as soon as you step into that starting role, you're going to see what I'm talking about. So I think that he's handled it well, and it's been really exciting watching him play this year. So we're excited.
Right. I'm not surprised by this at all because I know where he comes from. So I knew he was talented. I knew he was going to be smart, and I knew he was going to be well trained. Was he around you much when you coached? How
Oh
did
yeah, I mean,
pick up on?
that was not so much during, man, back, when you coach at a FCS school, limited resources, there were times, man, I took my kids to school every morning. That was something that I took I was going to drop them off in the morning and at school and get into the office, and I didn't get home at night, so I probably wouldn't see them in the afternoon until Thursday or Friday. I had an opportunity to see him in the afternoon, but I did try to every morning get up and take him to school. And but when he would hang around on Saturdays, man. He always came out on game day. He was a little mascot. He used to like to, and he even when he was 5 or 6 years old, he wanted to get his cleats spatted up like the big guys, so the trainer would have to tape his cleats and he'd go out there and throw with the quarterbacks. And that's when I kind of knew, when he'd be throwing the ball around, and as young as he was, uh, throwing the college football 20, 25 yards, I'm like, dude, this little kid can throw a football, and I'll never forget we were at Air Force, and he had a boot for whatever reason. And I had an Australian kicker, and he could really kick it, Lenny Holderhead. And my son was standing about, up that light air up there. It was just dying out of the air, just coming straight down, catching punts at 6 years old. I'm like, he's always had great hand-eye coordination. He was a four-sport athlete, man: football, basketball, track, and baseball. And I think to his detriment a little bit, where maybe he wasn't ranked as high because he never really went to any camps and travel baseball. So, we would go to baseball game over the weekend, and the basketball team would be playing here in Nashville. And if we lost on Sunday morning, if they made it to the finals, he was playing basketball on Sunday evening. It caused a lot of ruckus in the gym because they said they brought in a ringer, but he was always on the roster. But it's just situations like that. We always kept him involved, man. And he always wanted to do it. We never forced him to do or play any sport that he didn't want.
All right, so being that he was a nice hooper and all that, how did he make the choice between those four sports? I mean, well, we know that track, unless you're world class and you're gonna have something where you're gonna make some money, a lot of people follow a lot of track because of that. But basketball, he was doing really well, and then I'm sure baseball he's doing well, but like you said, with the travel team and all that. But how did he decide on football is going to be my meal ticket?
When Alabama offered, and then 10 other SEC schools offer, it kind of makes the choice for you a little bit.
Yeah.
that does.
And at first, he was supposed to be going to Ole Miss. So, and we talked about this before, but he was supposed to be going to Ole Miss.
I think once he really loved basketball. I can't. I try my best in the off season to keep him out the gym. Now I can look and see. He had direct. Right.
Rod, you're breaking up on us a little bit. Oh man. Bear with us, everybody. You're watching.
Well, on Auburn and get answered, and a little bit. I don't know. I'm downstairs in my basement area.
Let's see. Well,
am I getting
any? Bear with us, everybody. You're watching African American Athlete live stream. We got legendary TSU coach, former TSU coach, Rod Reed with us. Now super fan, super parent. His son, Marcel Reed, is starting at Texas A&M at the quarterback position. And when Rob was talking about Marcel's basketball skills, I'm assuming he got them from mom because Because I know Dad didn't have much of a game. He's a hell of a football player now. But I saw Coach Reed shoot some bricks over in King's Garden a couple of times. Too bad he can't respond.
Well, that was the thing about it is that I play intramural, and like
Well,
I said,
can I defend?
we're still kind of
myself?
Going in and out. You kind of going in and out,
Am I
right?
back on now?
All right. It seemed like you're coming in a little better though, but yeah. But no, I used to play against a lot of Rod's teammates, intramural and stuff like that. And yeah, some of those cats are rough. But I don't think I ever played against Rod, but I definitely played against Mason and a lot of the hoopers. But then some of the football players would come out there.
It's breaking up downstairs.
Like Tree. I know Rod knows what I'm talking about with Tree and those cats. So
yeah, Donald Lewis.
Yeah, you're coming in good now, Rod.
Yeah, I came upstairs, man. I came in my wife's office over here, so.
All right.
Okay.
But I was asking though. So we talked about this before. Originally, he was gonna go to Ole Miss, which is cool for me, is because I was actually born right outside of Ole Miss and Taylor, so that's why it was interesting when you said that at first. But then things changed, and he went to Texas A&M, which of course now looks like an absolute right choice. So. Was there any kind of disappointment that the Ole Miss situation didn't work out?
Well, I actually Marcel loved the program, loved the system that he was going to be playing in, because Lane Kiffin is a kind of an offensive guru, so to speak. Okay. But we just didn't feel like, and then I kind of pointed some things out to him that he was really the guy that they really wanted. Anytime that and I'll say this on your show, but anytime a head coach doesn't do a home visit
right
to a quarterback that's going to be the face of his program, it kind of throws up a red flag. Yeah. So although the offensive coordinator, Charlie Weiss Jr., Seth Dane Stephen, all those guys, I mean, they literally loved him, and they had him in the group chat. It was things that, they talked to him every day. But that just threw up a red flag for me. And Jimbo came in, and Jimbo got on his jet and flew down here and, pulled up to the front doors. Hugh Freeze, the same thing, So we took a couple more visits, and it came down to Auburn and Auburn, Ole Miss, and A&M. And A&M, we had gone to a game in December, and the atmosphere was just crazy down there when they beat LSU. And he, they had him in the locker room, and he was loving it. So we got a chance to go back on official. Damian Craig kind of sealed the deal. And at the time, I had a former coach on the staff, Kevin Mashak, who's my running backs coach. He was actually over there recruiting at that point. So that kind of helped out. But I think we made the right decision. We're originally from Texas. Got a lot of family in Texas. Still got a lot of support down there. My sisters. My oldest sister, she thinks she's his mom. She tries to be at every game. So we're comfortable with him being there.
Right. Hey, Rob, if you were talking to a highly recruited kid now as a former coach, but what you know about that business, what would you tell the kid? More importantly, what would you tell that kid's parents to watch out for? What would you tell them to watch out for? And what would you tell them to try to enjoy about that whole process?
Bro, I'll tell you what, man. The part, my wife really, she could care less about the football part. All she was concerned with was with the academics. I think that's the biggest thing. And I think when you look at A&M, they have this thing called the Aggie Network, and they brag about this ring that they wear. And it's a really, really big deal. It's one of those things where you get one of those Aggie rings, you can get a job anywhere in the state of Texas when you are really all over the world. I mean, it's just so, it's such a alumni base and bond. And those are things, man, that we looked at is what kind of education is he going to get? How is he going to be able to function, life after football? What were the facilities like? Those were big things. But now when you start talking about big time football, you start talking about Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee. It's an arms race. If you just in it for the bells and whistles, you're gonna find the facilities are gonna be second to none. I mean, at all of those schools. You just kind of. I asked Marcel. I told him, and now NIL takes this out of the equation. I used to ask the question, hey, would you go to school there if you wasn't playing football? Do you think you can enjoy yourself in this environment if you were not football? Well, now that equation with NIL has kind of been taken. I wouldn't go to Oregon if I wasn't playing football, but if I'm making 300,000, I can kind of make myself like it a little bit. You know what I
mean? That's true.
So, NIL is real, man. It's definitely a part of the conversation now, especially if you're a really high-ranking recruit. So, and I think it's long overdue, but I think there's some hiccups that are involved. You can see it right now. The kid from UNLV not only did, the running back left the team too. I think because of the same thing, But I do know that they do have contracts, and I don't know if contracts were signed or what was breached or whatever. But that's a whole nother. And they're not allowed to discuss the contracts with anybody. Most schools say that that's between me, you, and the family, or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. I think moving forward, I think in 2025 they're gonna become employees of the institution. So I think there'll be some more structural things where you'll see kids possibly involved in a 1, 2, 3 year contract to where it'll limit the transfers a bit. I don't know that to be so, but if I got an employee that's an employee of the university, I would at least like to sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal where he's not going to jump in the transfer portal, next year, or if he did, you got to buy him out or whatever the case may be, So it's crazy, man. It's the world we live in. Texas A&M is one of the top schools that participates in the NIL space, and I think they do a wonderful job with it.
Hey, speaking of the quarterback from UNLV, his name is Matt Sluka. He came over from Holy Cross, where he was an outstanding quarterback there, and he said the expectations that he had at UNLV, they did not meet them in terms of his NIL deal. So after 3 games, I've decided to utilize my red shirt and enter the portal for at the end of the season. I get that, because if UNLV told him he's going to give them some money and they didn't, what is he supposed to do? But I think about old school guys. Man, I can't run out on my team like this. I am the starting quarterback.
Yeah, but think about it too, man. When I played, everybody at Tennessee State, if you wasn't 5 years, you wasn't nobody. You get what I'm saying? I see my guys right now, and I call them 5. Hey, what's up, 5? That's the way we talk, because we were around each other for 5 years. I don't think you'll ever see that again, where a kid is at a place, let alone 3 years. So it's this NIL is mass free agency. This transfer portal is just used to in the transfer portal. You could transfer down, but you couldn't go up. I made a living at Tennessee State, taking, D1 transfers coming from FBS to FCS. Now you can go from FBS to FBS, and not only that, you can leave you don't have to sit out. You don't have to do anything. So, and you add NIL to that equation, and you add being able to offer kids, contracts to be able to play. Then you're not looking at. I'm not loyal to. Now I'm not saying that all teams are like that, but you're gonna have several guys going for the check.
Yeah. Hey, everybody else getting paid. I mean, Mike, I get it. I totally get it.
Well, my question, Rod, is this: being from Texas and then of course Florida, you two states always get all the accolades for being football states. So, what did you know about College Station as a young player growing up, and Was there ever a thought of you going over to Texas A&M, or was it Texas, or was it Houston? What were your thoughts as a youngster? And then what is College Station like now in 2024 as opposed to when you were a kid looking over there?
Oh, I had been down there a couple of times, but back then it was just it's nowhere near, where it might have been a 60,000 seat stadium. Now that stadium holds 110,000. You know, the back then, me coming out of high school, I played D line in high school, so I was kind of undersized for the 12 back then. So I was always a Louisiana Tech type recruit. They showed some interest. I got letters and stuff like that, but it wasn't like I was going to Texas A&M. But I'll say I had cousins. I had Jimmy Williams is one of my first cousins. He played wide receiver for Texas A&M. So we had several guys from my high school. Ira Valentine, he's passed on, but he was a fullback for the Houston Oilers. He played at Texas A&M. Ronald Branch was from Marshall. He played at Texas A&M. So we had a lot of guys from my high school that had gone on before us playing at A&M. Jackie Sherrill was the coach at the time when those guys were down there. Then came in R.C. Slocum. So, yeah, we were very familiar with A&M. It was either – I always kind of liked A&M, but I also liked it was hard not to like Texas with Earl Campbell playing because, growing up, Earl Campbell was in our district. Marshall played Tyler every year. So it was hard to root against Big Earl. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so Rod, as you've been able to step back for the last couple of years and watch college football, and I'm sure you watch the NFL, and Marcel is definitely an NFL quarterback. He is fitting the profile of NFL quarterbacks now. Think about it. You had half the league that were black quarterbacks starting. That was last year. You had 16 black quarterbacks start the year, and I think you had that number again this year. Maybe a couple of more.
It's 15 this year.
Is it 15? So it's down one. But clearly, when you see Jaden Daniels the other night, but then you go back and you see, when you saw a black quarterback, it was like, whoa, you called somebody on TV.
Right.
How is that? How have you seen that transformation?
Well, I think, with the evolution of the game, man, it used to, the speed of the game is such now where you got to have mobile guys back there in the pocket. There are very few guys that can, you see the Justin Herberts, you see the Trevor Lawrence, and he's kind of athletic, but those guys that just sit back in the pocket now. Often,
we got one here, man. Golf. Golf. Fortunately, we got a great offensive line here.
Yeah, and you got an A&M head coach too, Dan Campbell.
That's right. Yeah.
So and Aaron Glenn. So, but you gotta it's all about, I think, getting them aligned and doing the right training and stuff like that. Because the biggest thing is they want to know is you can throw the football. You can be as athletic as you want, but if you can't throw the football and make all the throws, you're not going to be very successful. And I think one of the things that he has he's trained up through QB country here in Nashville, Tennessee. He's trained with Quincy Avery down in Atlanta for a couple of sessions, and so we try to keep him sharp on his mechanics and things of that nature. But you got to be able to make those throws, man. And the athleticism is a bonus. To be able to get out of the pocket and create and make off schedule throws. Those are things that a lot of guys don't have the ability to do, and I think Marcel has the ability to do that. Throw on the run, hit a moving target while he's moving full speed. Things like that. So we try to keep them trained up for that kind of stuff. And the guys over at QB Country, Thomas Morris, does a really good job working with him on his footwork. And
that's just a great throw there.
Yeah.
That was good coverage. That was great coverage. It was just a better throw.
Well, Rob, my question is this: how about some of your former QBs like Gilbert, Chauncey, and even 747 back in the day? Are they excited that your son is a quarterback at this level?
Well, I haven't talked to Seven. Stacy Greer, got Albert Thomas called me the other day. All the guys, we're in kind of a group chat,
Okay.
84 group chat. So, they always, send messages through the group and shoot, man, when he's on TV and, he does something good. I mean, I get to the hotel after the game and I got 100 text messages I got to try to answer. But yeah, they're really proud of him, man. And, I'm proud of him too, man. Just to go out there and watch him. He always wanted to play football. He had a lot of scholarship ball, but he wanted to play in the SEC, and he felt like that was the best conference in America, and that's where he wanted to try and excel. So it's good to see, his dreams kind of coming to fruition, and he's only scratched the surface, man. I hopefully continue this upward trajectory at the quarterback position, and really, really blossom into something special. Now he's only played, three or four college football games, and this is probably, I would say it's his third. It's going to be his fourth start if he gets denied against Arkansas, because the bowl game, another really good African American quarterback, Jalen Henderson, broke his arm in the bowl game, and it gave Marcel a national stage to play on, and he threw for 361. And that, I think that kind of set him up for some of the stuff that's happening now.
Well, the key question is this: do they play Vandy in Nashville?
No, Vandy. Man, it's crazy. This new alignment, and scheduling. We don't play Alabama this year. We don't play Georgia, and we don't play Tennessee this year. We got South Carolina. We got Mississippi State. We had Florida already. We got Arkansas, Missouri. So Missouri be interesting because my daughter works at Missouri now. She's the assistant director of on-campus recruiting at Mizzou. So she'll be coming down to the game in a couple of weeks, October the 4th, to watch her little brother play against the team that she works for.
Hey, Rod, what do you miss about coaching? What do you don't miss?
You know what, man? There's not a lot I don't miss. You know what I mean? Because when you take the job, when you're in the job that we do, you really just a servant leader, man. I think a lot of these guys that are getting in now, a lot of these universities, even Tennessee State, they went out and got a guy that had never coached before. And I don't think that even with Deion, they didn't understand the landscape of HBCU football. I know it's tough, man, because you're a counselor, you're a dad. You got to be a big brother sometimes. You got to do study hall. You got to do that. That's a lot to take on. And I think the thing I miss most are developing the young men. Seeing them. I was just asked. It moved me because luckily, there's a hurricane coming through here on this week, and Chris Rowland had asked me to be at his Hall of Fame induction at his high school, and I recruited Chris. And, things like that mean a lot to me, man. And so I'm glad they postponed it. So now I can go ahead and leave and beat this hurricane. I'm leaving tomorrow instead of Friday going to Dallas. But, you get that a lot, man. Dominique Rogers-Cromartie, Anthony Levine, who's now coaching, with the Titans as a special teams coach. You get to see these guys grow. You get to see them come through your program. That's the thing I miss, man. The interaction, day-to-day interaction with the kids, coaching, the X's and O's, the trying to figure it out, man. That to me, that was the biggest challenge is, getting the X's and O's, getting the kids in the right position to make plays and seeing how your scheme fits up against other people's. And, we had a lot of success, man. We were only one of the few FCS school teams to beat the FBS. We beat Georgia State, back in, I think, 2012, 2013.
Just beat Vanderbilt the other day. I'm like, man.
Yeah, hey, look, if my freshman kicker don't miss 2 field goals, Derek Mason was gone a lot sooner than. But,
I remember that game. Oh, yeah. By the way, your linebacker got hurt in that game. How was he? I forgot the gentleman's name.
It's funny, man. It's funny that you bring him up because when I was at the Florida game, after the game, I went down to the rail and they had the cameras on and I look at my phone and it's Christian Abercrombie calling me on FaceTime and his mom and him in the background jumping up and down, screaming for Marcel and all of that. So yeah, he's doing well, man. He's actually teaching school now, and is doing really well.
That is fantastic.
Well, my question, Rod, as an alum and a fan, how about what's been happening the last couple of years? You got the big game at Notre Dame last year. I mean, I'm sure you would have loved to have played against Notre Dame. And then now this year we got a home and home against Howard, where we go to Howard this year. And then Howard comes to Nashville for homecoming. So I know you got most of your focus is on Texas A&M, but as an alum, do you still get excited about those TSU games, especially when it's history making like the Notre Dame game?
Yeah, I mean, those are things that you live for. We were able to, like I said, when we played, we had Vanderbilt. We always wanted to get that Division I team on the schedule. We were always looking for that big game. First of all, it's a payday. It's going to enhance your program,
right.
And there are two things that can happen. You try to take those games deep into the fourth quarter and stay as close as you can. You try to use every bit of time of possession you can on offense. You want to run the clock down to 0 and limit their possessions because, quite frankly, they got 85 scholarships and you got 63. And a lot of times when I was coaching, we had about 56, 57. I don't think we ever played with full allotment of scholarships. But where they are now, I think they've invested a lot into the program. I wish I had a lot of the things that they have now as far as summer school, recruiting budget and things like that, things that, that you had to raise. I think that they've been put in a good situation. And I think the home and home with Howard, I would prefer a home and home with Alabama State or Alabama A&M because I think you're going to get the bigger crowd that way. You got to look at regional scheduling. You got to look at travel. To me, to play a game where I got to charter a flight to go and then they got to charter a flight to come here, that's tough. But the opponent that you're playing is definitely going to, put some people in the butts in our stands, and hopefully, we'll travel better than Howard will. I guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. We will.
Rob,
yeah, that's true.
Rob, while we got to him, we appreciate you, man. Just to our viewers out there, we're talking with Rod Reed, former TSU head football coach, legendary player, and coach for the Big Blue. His son Marcel, rising young star at Texas A&M. Rob, the last time we were on, we talked about this, the state of Black college football. Man, I am a Virginia Union Panther. We're Division II. We're in the CIAA. We're going to be in the CIAA. We're going to play Norfolk State every now and then, but we're going to go play teams that are in our conference. Winston-Salem, Shaw, St. Aug. We are staying in our lane, and Virginia Union has put together a successful Division II athletic program.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some of the stuff some of these HBCUs are doing, I still say going to the OVC was a mistake. I see North Carolina A&T and Hampton jump to the Big South. I just don't. I tell you this for sure. The fans don't want to see it. The fans want to see TSU and Fan, TSU and Grambling, TSU and Jackson. Rod, you probably heard that a million times when you were coaching.
Oh, without question. And, I had to get a political answer back then. It's above my pay grade. But I would love to see TSU back as an independent if we're not going to get a conference.
Yeah.
Right.
So when we just picked our poison and, we played Jackson State, FAMU, North Carolina A&T. Then we played Texas State, a white school, So I think that, but I do think there's some validity to conference alignment, whether that be SWAC or MEAC or whatever the case may be, it's going to hold something. But I do know this. I think that the OVC, being in the OVC or whatever it's called now, I think, the basketball revenue that it from the tournament and stuff like. Because you got teams like Murray State that were advancing every year, and some revenue sharing going there, and that's a pretty nice, little penny they can get to the Sweet 16, which they have, done really annually over the last 10, 15 years. They've gotten to the Sweet 16 3 or 4 times, and that brings a lot of money to the program. So I think it was done more for basketball, regional for it, and being more regional for other sports than anything else. But I do know that it's something about that fan experience when you got a Grambling, when you got a Jackson State, when you got a Tennessee State. And I'm still kind of pissed at Coach Prime for doing away, with the Southern Heritage Classic.
Yeah.
And guys, Eddie Robinson said it, he ain't black college or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And I was kind of on Eddie's side a little bit because, again, I get what he was trying to do. He was trying to make money for himself. Because if he was trying to do it for the school, it wouldn't have been, I get a percentage of, whatever the gate is or whatever the case may be. I'm not in nobody's pocket. You make all the money that you can in this business. But I do think that, there's got to be some loyalty there to the school. And I don't think that there was any there. I think that he had an agenda all along, which we all want to advance. Heck, I can't blame him. I'm not going to turn down $5 million and I'm making $300,000. But it's the message that you were sending while you were doing that. This is where I'm here. No, I came here to build something and move on. Let's be honest about it. And I have no problem with that. I mean, that's every. I had some opportunities as a head coach, but it would have been a lateral move for me, and it didn't make sense to leave my alma mater for even what do you call it? Not a majority school.
PWI.
Yeah, PWI.
Yeah.
PWI.
Hey, Rod, how many times has Bethune-Cookman called you this week?
They haven't called me this week, man. And I don't want them to call me. Raymond Woody, one of my former players. I coached Raymond Woody when he was at bad. But again, they've done the same thing kind of down there. They got, Reggie Theus is a big 3 guy.
Yeah.
Athletics director down there. I mean, guys, these I'm just telling you, the name is not going to bring money to your program.
Exactly.
The wins are going to bring money to your program. The community involvement is going to bring money to you. To get out there and fundraise, that's going to bring money to your program. So it's okay to want a big splash, a big name, and all of that. But we like to see each other, man. I don't care what's your name on it. I want to see you. I want to touch you.
Yes.
I want to be close enough to you to curse you out every now and then, and you got to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think that that's, and I like, Eddie and I we're friends, man. His son and my son are really good friends.
And frat brothers. Don't forget that.
He's a frat brother, and I wish him the best, man. But it's just tough, man, because you get in a situation and you've been given a lot of resources, so it's time to kind of show up. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, I got 2 questions. So I always said that, digressing back to what you said earlier, I always said that TSU was like Notre Dame on the what was it called back then? Double A, NC 2A. So remember being independent, being probably the most prominent independent school at that level, and then Notre Dame was the one on the Division 1A. So you and I were in school, I would say probably the last of the old school, because it seemed like everything started to change like right after our matriculation. So
88 transition over to the OVC.
Right, exactly. So we came in and, we were independent and all that. I remember looking at TSU had the best record in 1AA, percentage 1AA, and then you had Yale and all those other schools. So then all of a sudden we go to the OVC. And like you said, it was more conducive for basketball, especially when Carlos and them made it to the tournament because they won OVC. But how did you feel about that shift? Because remember, it happened right around the time you guys made it to the playoffs, that great team in '86. So it seemed like it happened shortly thereafter. So how did you feel when that happened? You guys go to playoffs, play Nevada, Reno, and all that. That team was probably the best while I was there. And then everything changed when you went to the OVC.
Yeah, it was a difference, man. And you get you go from playing the Grambling and the Southerns, and then you go to the Eastern Kentucky, the Western Kentucky at the time, in schools like that. And it was fun. Football is football. Put the ball down. We'll play whoever.
Right.
We had that mentality. But then you start losing some of your recruiting prowess, I believe. With the teams that we weren't playing, and being able to recruit the same level of athlete that you were going to be. I felt like when we were independent and we were playing an HBCU school, we had some of the best. I mean, we could have beat anybody in 1984, man. My freshman year. I mean, I don't. When they didn't allow us to go to the playoff, I was a freshman on that team. I don't think there was a team in the country that could have beat us. We beat Louisville that year.
Yeah.
We walked through our schedule, to be honest with you. And then 85, we had a down year. Then 86, we came back. And I call it down year, I think like 8-5 or something like that, or
7-4.
Yeah, 7-4. And so then we came back in 86. We go, I think 10-2-1. So yeah, man, it was different. It was different. You got games were called different. Let's call a spade, and they still are. Let's call a spade. I can during my coaching career, I can go back to 4 games, man, and one cost us a conference championship. I can go back to 4 games that a questionable call. I'm not gonna say it was a bad, but a call cost us football games. And then you go back and you see it on the film and you send it in, and we missed that one. Well, shit, that don't do.
You good, brother? You good? We
that don't do me no good, man. That those are conference championships get you extensions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The very first game Tennessee State played in the OVC was at Youngstown State University. Right after it was after the 86. It was 86, and they got robbed. I covered that game, and they got robbed. And the coach at Youngstown was the former Cleveland Cavaliers guard, Mike. I think he was a lefty. I can't think of his name. And he actually went to Youngstown State. And TSU lost on a buzzer beater, but the buzzer was so late, people were leaving the gym before the ball went through the basket.
I'm trying to think of the player you're talking about, but yeah, no. For basketball, it was 87, Ricky. It was 87, 88, because that was Mason.
Yeah, whatever it was. I know the first OVC game, right. And I was saying then, boy, this is going to be rough on them.
Look what happened to Mason.
All black school in a
right. But look what happened to Mason though. Mason dominated that conference, 28 a game, 10 rebounds, 50% from 3, third leading scorer in the nation, and they gave the MVP to Jeff Martin.
Yeah,
because they said, well, TSU's record wasn't that good, and Murray State was good, and I wrote about that because I was the sports editor there at the time. So, yeah, I knew it was going to be a mess for that conference.
I get it, man, but that's why those crowds aren't like they used to be, because they just don't want to see Tennessee Tech, man.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And again, like I was saying, you got, when you schedule, and this is advice I give to anybody that's over there in administration, but if I'm knocking Alabama A&M or Alabama State door down to play the John Merritt Classic, or to get a 0 game or something in there, because you're going to get, on average, you're going to get 30,000. And I think 30,000 is a pretty decent. You might get more than that, depending on, the hype going into the game. So I think Alabama, and, the travel is reasonable. You can get to, it's 4.5, 5 hours, I think, to
Montgomery,
State, but it's an hour from Huntsville to come up here. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of alum from both teams in the Nashville area. So I know that every time when we played them, it was always a good game. So you kind of try to look for schools like that, and then you got to get Florida A&M back on the schedule. That's something that when I was coaching, we beat them 7 times, I think, in a row. And the new guy came in after Coach Taylor left and decided he didn't want to play us. And but we those are just rivalries, man, that you just can't let die. You know what I mean? I mean, there's something I would pass over. I would pass over. And the 100 black men. I don't know what the dealings were with that, but it came down to revenue sharing, and I think that's what the Southern Heritage came down to. But I know that some sheer money and a winnable game to me was worth more than going to take another maybe $100,000 and got to play a team that you're not supposed to beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got you.
Hey, do you think Dion was right about the money games, Rod? When he talked about how the black colleges have to go, we got to go play this team we can't beat, and they just gonna write us a check and short changes at that.
Guys, that's when you don't understand the landscape in which you're working. When you think you can do, Prime came in and he did some great things. Because, see, Dion said stuff that I could never say to my administration. You know what I mean? I applaud him. I really do applaud him for that. But I wish I could say some of the things that he said, talking about the locker room, talking about the facilities, the eating situation. Those are things that you start talking too much about that. You get yourself fired at this level. But I was one of those type guys. I didn't worry about it because I went and raised the money and did it for my kids. I was doing way more than I should have been doing on the fundraising side. And still, I was burning the candle on both ends, like we used to say, Mike. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I think that he was able to shed some light on some things and how underfunded that we were, not having all the scholarships, the financial aid situation about, Pell Grant and refunds and things of that nature, having to wait on that, and that's why when I hear people say, we need to go D1, I'm like, guys, you guys don't have a clue what D1 looks like.
Right.
You really don't have a clue what D1 looks like. So let's make sure that we're good stewards of what we have and be able to function in the area that we're in, and then you really, it's even with student fees. I mean, the student athletic fee, I think when I was coaching, TSU had the lowest student athletic fee in the conference. I don't know what it is now, but that's what pays for your scholarships or your meal plans and stuff like that. Your student athletic fee, and so we just got to do a better job all the way around. And, I don't know what Dr. Allen is doing over there now, but I know that he had some good concepts. I mean, he got rid of Means, but that doesn't. I think he had a good plan, or where he had a good vision, put it like that, or where he wanted to take it. But in having that vision, you got to know the landscape within what you're working in. And that perception is, with some of these guys, that we can make this, UT or whatever the case may be. Now you can't,
Right. And look, and okay, now he's starting a hockey team. Come on, man. Bruh.
Hey, look, I still work at TSU now, so don't give me.
I am saying this. Rick Hampton, but loves TSU.
But what I would say, Rick, is if I'm gonna start a hockey team, I would definitely take a strong look at bringing back baseball first. Now, I don't.
Michael, have we not said that?
Yeah, but here's the thing though that's interesting with TSU is that it's in a city that's grown exponentially, but that has NHL and NFL. Remember, we got there, It was like hee haw in Nashville.
That's right.
Now, it's a cosmopolitan city.
Hey, look, you could skateboard down Broadway and would hit nothing.
Right. But now you got the NHL that wants to partner with you
and go all the way to the river and wouldn't hit a thing.
Exactly. Like also, like when it snowed, maybe a quarter of an inch. My guys, I'm from Wisconsin, so we were on the highway. Everybody's like scared to get on the highway, and I was like, man. And what really killed me is when I tried to watch the Bucks play on TV, and they had hee haw on. I said, "What are y'all doing?" They said, "Oh, there's not enough interest in the NBA in Nashville." So it was rough. So now it's a different climate there.
It's an incredible city. Every time I come home, I can't believe
it's crazy.
I was grown. But TSU, to your point, Rod, TSU has a great baseball history.
Yes,
Allen Robinson and some of the guys that came through there, man, and it's a traditional sport in our community. I understand trying to broaden horizons, but man, and I don't know a more expensive sport than hockey.
And I don't know this to be factored, but there's got to be some kind of NHL backing.
Yeah. I'm told that.
The Predators.
I'm told the Predators are doing some stuff with him, but man, that's tough because the fans still aren't going to come. I mean,
well, I know that they're trying to get a Major League Baseball team in Nashville.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
Everybody else in Nashville plays baseball. When you talk about Lipscomb, Vanderbilt,
great program.
Aquinas, Trevec, so I think that and again, you have to look at funding. You got to look at how. But I didn't know that baseball only had 11 scholarships anyway up until this new NCAA deal has come out where they can, you can have, I think, up to 20 something scholarships in baseball now. But I didn't realize that baseball was only at 11 scholarships. You know what I mean?
Hey Rob, we got to get out of here, man.
Ricky. So I just went to the All-Star game in your home state in Texas, and it was hot. Man, it was hot. But they had the HBCU game, so it was interesting for me looking at those HBCU All-Stars, and you see a lot of guys that may not identify as Black. So that's what happens with a lot of the HBCUs is that they all have baseball, but a lot of the players don't really hit the demographics of.
I got a name for you, Mervell Melendez. He was the head coach at Bethune-Cookman when I was down there, and I don't think they had one player that wasn't Puerto Rican on the team. They might have had 4 Black guys and the rest of them Puerto Rican. But they fun. But you got some conduits there, man. I don't know if you guys know Greg out of Atlanta. What is Greg last name, man? Greg Goodwin. He's a former MLB scout. And matter of fact, his high school was the first Black high school to win a state championship in the state of Georgia a couple of years ago. And he's a TSU alum. And I know Greg is big on baseball, and he would kill to have baseball back, and then he would use whatever MLB resources he had to try to help them. So that's the person they need to reach out to if they're serious. Or if they want to bring baseball back.
Hey, Rob, we got to get out of here. You got to come back and visit with us, man, because your insights on how this whole business of college athletics work is really helpful to our audience out there who just, to get a kind of peek from the inside. I have one final question for you.
And I have one too.
When I looked at the growth of Belmont and Lipscomb athletically, how does that occur? And TSU has remained fairly stagnant in terms of its athletic funding.
Well, I'll tell you this, man, and I don't, again, way above my pay grade, but when somebody owes you $2 billion, I would imagine, you kind of been robbing Peter to pay Paul a little bit. Tennessee State has been grossly underfunded. Everybody knows that. That's not a secret. And I think, had we had some of those capacity funds and things like that, we would be able to keep pace with some of that because, again, the Gentry Center is outdated. I think, man, they just put a new track down over there at Ed Temple track. It's awesome. I walked on it the other day. They got a new track down there, but I do think with some of those, some of that lies on the state and not having the right people in place to be able to maneuver in the state house what TSU really should be getting, you know. But I think that you can't put it all on that. Again, some of it is, you know, just mismanagement, some stuff that we're not doing. So we just got to make sure. I think the new president is coming in, man. He's going through this thing with a fine-tooth comb. I had an opportunity to visit with him just briefly at a event down on the TSU Ag Farm the other day. I think he's going to do a tremendous job of trying to right the ship. But I think it's going to get better before it gets worse. But I think it's in the right direction. And I do think you'll see some things start to come down the pipe that'll kind of grow TSU, man.
All right. Well, my last question is this: with the connection with the NFL team, the Titans, was there any interaction with the late Steve McNair? Because I heard he had a business like nearby the College Crib area, and then of course Eddie, before he became a coach, was he kind of interacting with TSU at all, or any of the players from the Titans?
Nah, not really. I mean, I knew Steve through Shannon Harris. Shannon was my quarterbacks coach, and they both from Mississippi, so him and Steve were real tight. So had an opportunity to kind of visit with him, and I know his widow, Michelle, her son, and Marcel. They were on the same AAU squad, so you know, have interacted with her a lot, you know. But just as far as, you know, Steve being a part of, you know, coming over and giving back or anything like that at TSU, it wasn't a big deal. But, you know, I mean, we really didn't need, man. We got so many players that come back and, you know, pouring our guys that are NFL, former NFL. You know, when I was coaching, we had, I think, 7, 8 active guys in the NFL. I think Latavia Simmons may be the only one that we have active now in the NFL, but those guys come back all the time and pour into our guys. So although Steve was a legend around here, it wasn't over at TSU. We see him every now and then.
Okay. All right.
And Mark paid us up. But y'all don't get me wrong, Steve was cool now, cool and a fan now. I've sat at the corner pub with him a couple of times and had a ball.
Yeah. Hey, Rod, thank you so much, brother. Much luck and success to Marcel going forward. Keep lighting them up, young man. We are definitely cheering for you. But, Rod, we'd like to get you back maybe at the end of the season and get your thoughts on how this whole thing has played out.
Sounds good. Go Big Blue, man, and giggle.
Absolutely.
Rod Reed, legendary coach from TSU, Big Blue. Michael Roberson, legend at TSU too, in the intramural gym. I'm Rick Hampton.
Hey, Mason almost got it. Almost dunked on Mason, so
he almost dunked on Anthony.
Yeah. He fouled me.
What they say? Almost don't count.
I know.
And grenades and horseshoes, man.
Yep.
Let's go.
And accidents.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. See you next time.
All right.
Thanks, guys.